everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bourbon Podcast. I'm your host, Perry, with me this week remotely because he smells so bad right now. He's a stinky boy. Stinky. It's Eric the Whiskey Mutant Smith.
You legitimately sent me home because I smelled so bad.
He came over here, and the biggest issue is that he smelled like if you put cheese on a breakfast sandwich that has syrup in it. Oh, wait, no, that's something I like, and that's also something that other people like. So let's get into this before we get into the main episode.
God.
I have been vilified by multiple people. Vilified. V
I don't
is
know what that
vampire.
means.
Well, I have. Okay.
You've been vamped?
People agree with me.
Oh, okay. That's all you have to say.
Here's the thing. I said last week, to much chagrin, may I add, from Swan and Eric, that a McGriddle from McDonald's does not need cheese on it, despite the fact that it is offered on the menu and is something that is widely accepted as a common eatery.
Is it widely accepted?
It is widely accepted.
Okay,
and I
got proof that it may not be.
Okay, well, we were talking about this before we started recording, but I have some positive vibes that were sent my way. It sounds like
I will admit defeat. I was put in 50 group chats and tagged in 50 things with Perry that said, "Oh my God, I love cheese on pancake sandwiches." Okay, I admit defeat. I didn't think anybody else liked that. But I've actually had one because Dash loves them, but so he never gets cheese on it.
So you've had one since last week?
No, I've had one before. What?
So you didn't even try one in between last week and now, just to see, like, out of curiosity.
But I've had one before. It was bad. Dash got it, and they put cheese on it, and me being the cheap-ass dad I am said, I'm not letting this go to waste. And I tried it, and it was not good. That's why I never liked it.
Something about that feels wrong. Like it didn't actually congeal with all the other ingredients that actually went into.
Maybe it was a bad batch or something.
I don't think that you were given the right experience. And I've got some evidence to back this up. We'll get to bourbon stuff here in a moment, especially because we got to talk about Bourbon and Beyond.
Next time that, assuming we're recording together next week, we will have them on. I don't know if it's on the main episode or the pregame.
No, we will do it on the main episode.
And we will eat them. And I will full fucking blown review a McGriddle with cheese and without cheese.
You're so full of it, man.
Just listen. After we talked about this, I've got something on my phone that even McDonald's doesn't put the cheese on.
Okay,
there.
all right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about
rub it in my face.
Your side. No, I want to talk about your side of it first because there is definitely overwhelming evidence from people who have listened and said Perry is right. So we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I want to hear the comments that you have gotten from other people.
They're the same ones. I'm saying, like, people
what do you mean?
The ones I said I admit defeat because, like, I was put in the same, like, chats and tagged in the same stuff as you.
So you've not gotten anybody responding to your side of it.
That's why I said
you definitely lost.
McDonald's put out their little commercial, and there is no cheese on that McGriddle.
Well, there's also no egg.
There's nothing. They're like, you know what?
It's a sausage.
Yeah,
but
there's
here's the thing. But
there's cheese on that sausage McMuffin.
That proof is completely irrelevant because you are ignoring the fact that there is a sausage McGriddle, a bacon McGriddle, and then there is also a sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle.
Look at this. They put a
You can't put every item in one picture.
They put cheese on the sausage and egg McGriddle. They put cheese on the sausage. The McMuffin. They put just the sausage McMuffin. They put cheese on it, and they didn't put any cheese on the McGriddle sausage.
But
they know, Perry. They fucked up in the beginning, and they're trying to erase their mistake.
Okay, here is the biggest issue right now. You are only talking about a sausage McGriddle.
Okay.
I am talking about...
So the egg makes it better.
It is the egg that is the...
Listen, when I had that one time, it tasted so bad. It was so bad, and I will never do it again.
I don't believe you.
I said cheese should never be on a pancake. All right, go ahead. I'm going to admit my defeat. I'm going to take my spankings.
I don't know.
Now.
I feel like I've I don't need to read out any of these comments, but
I
I'm still going to.
want to hear it.
Nathan Bodeker. Sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddle is the best breakfast, hands down.
All right, Nathan, why didn't you tag me in that message, huh?
Brad Woods. Well, this was an email because I said last week if you should email us.
He could have said Eric on there. He could have CC'd me if he wanted to make it more personable.
Coulda, shoulda, woulda. Brad Woods, another email. Just finished the latest episode and I cannot keep quiet. Sausage, egg, and cheese McGriddles are the bomb. Hashtag sorry not sorry. Hashtag Team Perry. Now here is...
Sure, he from the land of no taste buds.
You're so full of it, dude. You're so full of it. Here's and here is proof that somebody with exceptional taste buds is on my side. This is from our mutual friend and the world's top whiskey taster, Matt Porter. He said cheese on a McGriddle is a no-brainer. Sorry, this next sentence makes me laugh a whole lot. For as much as Eric pretends to like food, he would make a terrible fat guy.
So
that's Matt Porter. That is Matt friggin' Porter.
Yeah, the world's best whiskey taster. Ain't nothing about food or anything else.
Like he doesn't know how to pair whiskey with food.
Oh, I watched an episode where he tried to do that and he bombed it.
What do you mean tried?
Yeah, he bombed it. Go back. He tried to make a whole thing where he paired with food around the world, and I think he lasted like one episode.
Again, I don't believe you.
He can taste the whiskey all day. That doesn't mean he tastes the cheese on a pancake and he knows what he's talking about. He
does taste the cheese on the pancake, and he says
and
that it
wrong.
is a must. No,
it's
wrong.
Not a must. If it's a must, they wouldn't let me take it off. Isn't that right?
That's called freedom of choice, and that's because we live in America. You know what we really should do?
I will admit defeat.
All jokes aside, we really should do like a live stream or something where we taste test through the McGriddle options.
And then I make you homemade pancakes and I put melted cheese on it and make you eat it. Doesn't that sound disgusting?
I don't, because I like the McGriddle. I think that it actually sounds kind of good.
Like if you took all of the ingredients of that and broke it up into like a breakfast platter, and it was these nice pancakes with these horrible slices of American cheese on it, and then you had your scrambled eggs and stuff on there, and the syrup was mixed in with the cheese in the pancake. That sounds so bad. It sounds so bad, Perry. Imagine it in your head, though, how bad it would look, though.
No, but that's a visual aspect. That's
part
not
of the food is visual.
But if you eat it and it tastes good together, that is okay.
So if they made the McGriddle look like a piece of dog poop, you would be okay with it. You would be able to just eat it.
I don't.
You said the visual doesn't matter. What if they did though? What if they rolled it up and made it look like a turd and they were like, "Here's your McGriddle."
Really, really funny. But I do think that the taste is more important than the presentation.
Well, it is McDonald's. I mean, half the time you're lucky if they even have
we
it
are definitely
together.
arguing. You bring up a really good point. We're sitting here arguing about McDonald's. This is now a 2-week conversation. Can we stretch it out to 3? I think we absolutely can.
Well, I think if we start eating them on the episode, then we'll definitely keep going. And then we're going to zoom Matt in for just that one time, and I'm going to tell him that it doesn't need cheese on it.
There is so much potential with this, and we are definitely going to reach all of that potential here.
I'll eat cheese on all breakfast sandwiches, but I'm not putting them on pancake sandwiches. It's just an abomination.
Okay. If you're watching for the first time or listening for the first time and not yet subscribed, please do so. It's super easy, and it's a great way to keep up with the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube and you have not hit the like button, please do that. Hit the bell button so that you get notifications every time that we either go live or every time a new podcast comes out. If you follow us on social media, or if you would like to, rather, you can do so by heading to @MyBourbonPod or @WhiskeyMutant. And Swan too, Swan TBF,
yeah,
of course, Swan the Bourbon Finder,
right over there.
Yeah. Oh, is he?
The Funko.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant that he was over off camera.
Oh, he's not in the tent. My kid's tent that he claimed to take over and use as a fortress of solitude.
That was a weird day.
Yeah,
it was a weird day when we found that out.
Really
so many bags. Anyway. But most importantly, if you want to support the show, you can do so by heading to patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast for as little as $1 a month. For as little as $5 a month, you get a bunch of bonus content. That includes the pregame chats, which we do before every episode. It's a way for us to kind of get warmed up before we get into the main one. And we're alternating.
Warmed up today.
Boy, howdy, did we. And we're also doing a thing where we alternate between a couple of different shows. Over on Patreon, one is called Pours from the Floor, where we're trying to clear out some of Eric's whiskey collection that his wife is upset has not been finished off yet. And the other one is Sampling Irresistible, where people that I have accumulated samples from have been giving me crap about not having tasted their samples.
Perry, drink my sample.
So I've got a lot of samples. I just want to put that out there. I'm trying to get through them, but there's a lot. There's a lot. I'll try to put up a picture of all the samples that I have, or a video or something on the YouTube version. So
we should build like a really nice shelf, but like it's like a miniature version of it, and we put all the sample bottles on it.
All the sample bottles for sure.
Yeah.
That'd be so funny. I'm down.
We you know normally how to build a shelf.
Do I know how to?
Yeah.
No, I got a degree in graphic design.
Well, I don't either. I can start somebody's heart back, but I can't build a shelf.
You're building the shelf of life, which is
I'm hammering nails of life into people.
That sounds like you're killing Jesus. But anyway.
He died for everyone, right?
Sure.
Did I do that? Did I kill Jesus?
Oh, no.
What have I done?
The conundrum of the Philistines that killed Jesus. They're like, but he died for me, right? But I was also the one that caused him to die? Like, oh, no. Man.
Oh, no.
The conundrum. That's not this podcast.
No,
we normally start episodes out after we've talked about our fast food habits with either Flying Blind, where we blind each other on a particular pour, or Sips and Snacks, where Eric blinds me on a pour with a specific snack, cake or candy or something that he's been enjoying. If you don't know, Eric is a big Little Debbie guy.
I am. I'm a big Little Debbie.
You're large Deborah.
I'm Little Dabby.
Little Dab. I forgot that was what your name was.
Little Dabby.
I don't mean to steal a joke from Rhett and Link over a Good Mythical Morning, but large Deborah is very funny.
Large Deborah.
Yeah. So That's a conversation for a different time. But this week we have sips and snacks. And we talked about this before we started, but this is a pumpkin spice roll.
We're getting basic, bitch, up in here. We got some pumpkin spice rolls.
I'm actually really excited about this, and it's not just because I haven't eaten a whole lot today. It's also because I am ready for fall. I'm ready for the autumn season. I'm ready for Halloween. I'm ready for turkey. Just the whole thing.
Well, I figured we had waited long enough to try to get some pumpkin spice. I mean, by the time this comes out, it's the end, getting toward the end part of September. So we're close to October. So
does that mean that we're officially around the time that we talk about, the scariest time of year?
Definitely just woke my whole house up there.
That's right, everybody. It is the spooky season, and Eric is about to die.
I think I'm good. Oh. This is so good.
That's really nice.
This is going to make a great pour over.
I'm imagining that whatever we get to pour over here, it might go a little bit like darker, kind of brown sugar, but also have a nice fruity note to it as well.
Oh.
Well, the pour on its own is fantastic.
It really is. It's probably my favorite offering from this line. Oh, that's good. That's real good. The pour is not that high proof, so it doesn't take over the cake or the roll, but it brings out a lot of the spice in the pumpkin. But it does add a little bit of almost like a cherry, like almost like it's like a pumpkin cherry roll up thing, like a dark cherry.
You keep saying cherry, and it's making me think Buffalo Trace.
Well, no, but they're cousins. They're cousins.
Oh, Barton?
Mm-hmm.
What have you done here?
I don't know why I laughed so hard at that. Well, yeah, like I was just like,
what have you done here?
It was almost like I thought I was in trouble for a second, but I also made like a breakthrough in something. What have you done?
So I am leaning towards this being the high rise 1792.
You'd be fucking right, because it is.
Because it is? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Aside from the full proof, this is my favorite offering.
Mm-hmm. I love this
from
thing,
1792.
And sure. I had almost I have very little out of this because I've saved it, because
it's such a great bottle, man.
I'm not even that big a fan of the sweet wheat one. Like, it's not that great.
No, it's not nearly as good as everybody makes it out to be.
I got a ton of foolproof picks. I got some bottled and bond, but that high rye, man. And when I was thinking of this pairing, I was like, I feel like rye and fall and spice and all that, but I didn't want to go full blown rye. Mm-hmm. And I remember that one. It was just like this delicate, like higher rye bourbon that it's just good. It's spicy and cherry, so and yeah. It's only 94 proof. 94.3.
Do you remember what the mash bill is on it too? Or just generally a high rye bourbon?
Yeah, I can't remember. Using a greater amount of rye and less corn than many bourbons. This high rye bourbon, yeah. Spicy rye notes complemented by years of aging in charred white oak barrels.
Nothing like the labeling on whiskey bottles.
Whose caramelized
where they say
sugars.
They use so many words to say so little.
Yeah. Enjoy a perfect marriage of sweet vanilla, caramel, whatever you want to say, butterscotch, and rye in 1792 high rye bourbon. Yeah, that's good.
Not bad. at all. That was a really good pairing, man.
Yeah, it's really good.
So, before we get too much further, I want to talk about a couple of things for this episode and kind of for the next couple of weeks, at the very least. So first and foremost, this is our return to Bourbon Beyond, or mine, if we want to get super technical about it. And so the majority of this episode is going to be interviews that I conducted throughout the weekend. Eric and I are actually recording this in the middle of Bourbon and Beyond weekend. So there could be some slight changes to the lineup of how everything's going to function. But for the most part, the plan is to have the interviews that happened here. I didn't do video with the interviews, so it's just going to be audio if you're watching the YouTube version of the show. But also, go watch the YouTube version. We're doing some fun things over there.
It'd just be me like this.
Freeze frame. There's going to be a little green alien that comes and lands right on your nose. I don't know where. All right, you can stop. You're freaking me out. It's too much.
It's too much. I can't take it anymore. I can't tell if you're real or not.
Next week, Eric and I haven't really figured out exactly what the plan is here just yet, but we have some kind of idea in place of us going to Louder Than Life as well. You look very unsure about those plans.
Oh, I just didn't know if we'd even been able to figure anything out yet.
We'll talk about it here in a bit. But this has been kind of a weirder year for Bourbon and Beyond. As far as interviews go, we haven't had as much of a dedicated media tent as we have in the past. And truth be told, because it has been 3 years since the last time that we did Bourbon and Beyond and recording those interviews, I'm having to kind of relearn a few things. So if the episode itself doesn't sound as good as past episodes have, or things are kind of a little bit jarring, I understand if you want to skip over that. We're still going to do a review this episode. We're still going to talk about a few things. But the majority of this week's episode is going to be the interviews that I recorded at Bourbon and Beyond. I also want to mention, too, that there will be a couple, and I think I'm going to only put this out for Patreon, because, this was kind of a private-ish event, whatnot. But I was able to go and sit in on a few panels as well, and I recorded audio from that. So I believe I'm going to put that out for Patreon in the week or so following.
Nice.
The festivals and after these episodes come out. So patreon.com/Bourbon Podcast for as little as $1 a month. But just I think I've been a little bit long-winded about something that I don't even know how it's going to turn out at this point. So
hey, I love you. I think you're going to do great.
Hey, I love you too,
I believe in you. I'm pushing my power over to you, Spirit Bomb style. I know you've got some high lifes that will just fuel your creativity, and I believe in you. And I think that's all you need.
That's all I need.
As they're listening to this, they're going to be like, fucking nailed it.
Perseverance and bourbon.
Perseverance and bourbon.
That's all we can ask for.
Look for that on thismybourbonshop.com.
I do have to ask you, though, what have you been drinking recently?
Well, I drank a beer earlier. I only drank one. I didn't drink another beer. 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 I did not drink a Bloody Mary. Had a cougar bait for dinner at Roosters with some wings. Had me some little wangs. some little wangs.
Would
Little wang.
Little wang.
Yeah.
Little
wang.
wangs. What were there any kind of saucings happening around?
Yeah, I got saucy. See what you? I do. So, pulling back the curtains for people who listening who may not know, I got a little tummy problem. I got the Crohn's disease going on. But I like a little pinch of spicy. So what I do like a sweet barbecue. Toss them in the sweet barbecue, and then I ask for like a hot on the side. So I get like a little dab of hot sauce with my sweet barbecue. So it's kind of like a sweet hot, and that's how I go for my wings.
I've kind of started doing something similar too. Like I went through the Hot Ones challenge, where they have that frozen wing package, frozen boneless wings that you can get at Walmart. And I actually don't know if you can still get them anymore, but you get up to, so if you watched Hot Ones, you know that you get up to the last wing and it's called the last dab because you put a little bit of extra hot sauce on there. And it's already at like 2.5 million Scoville. And it's brutal. It's insane. But I like, I kind of had to like climb that mountain just to prove that I could do it to myself. And so everything afterwards has just kind of been me adjusting my palate and enjoying hot sauce for what it is, as opposed to trying to, be a big old tough guy.
Yeah. Instead of taking shots of whiskey.
Yeah.
You put it in a Glen and you smell it and you
appreciate it.
And you appreciate it.
You appreciate it. You're not disrespecting.
You appreciate it on your palate.
Palate.
Your palate.
And everybody's palates are different.
It's true.
It is very true.
I also had this.
The new rye.
The new rye from Wilderness Trail.
How do you like?
Oh, it's so good.
I want to try it so badly.
I'll give you some. I'll give you a little dabby.
Little dabby.
It's good though. It's got a gray label now instead of the green. It's still this one is still a single barrel. But I don't know. Did they just change the label on it, or did they?
I think so. Because I'm pretty sure that Haley posted.
Well, they did a blend for Kentucky Bourbon Fest.
That's what I was about to say, but it was the same label style.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that that's going to be what they're using for the
rye
new label
bottle.
Moving forward.
It's got the new bottle.
Love the new bottle.
Yeah, it's good, man. This is a great one.
It's just not as what's the word? When it's like kind of big around, but not so big that you can't. What is the word?
Rhymes with birth.
Mirth?
Turf.
Firth.
Smurf.
Oh, worth. That's what it is. Oh, no, sorry. It's girth.
Anyway. But yeah, this was a single barrel, but I need to send Mr. Embellish Pod himself, who's walking around Kentucky Bourbon Fest being all acting like he's cool with the VIP tent or whatever it was, but I need to get him to grab me one of those blends. I need to get that blend.
Yeah. Faux show.
Yeah. It was there. Macaulay posted a thing that was like it yielded 420 bottles.
Oh, that's what Haley said. Yeah. It was 420 bottles, and they were selling it for $69 a bottle.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I think that she just said nice.
Oh, nice.
So good. I got a couple of things that I'll talk about real quick before we get into the interviews for Bourbon and Beyond. One is a Knob Creek single barrel that was picked by our buddy Adam Terry down with the Nashville Bourbon Society. Got that up my way a little bit earlier this week. It is spectacular.
He drinks bourbon?
He does.
He does?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
Yeah. It's actually over 10 years old, too.
Oh.
So it's been extra special, I would say. And I guess kind of hanging on the Jim Beam train. All of my what I've been drinking recently are all Jim Beam related. This panel, and you'll hear more of it too if you're on the Patreon, but this panel that I was able to sit in on that Fred hosted, Fred Minnick, we tasted 3 different 15-year-old bourbons that all came from Jim Beam. 2 of them were sourced for other companies. So Prideful Goat and Kentucky Senator both use 15-year-old bourbons. But then we also tried the Knob Creek 15-year alongside it. And I was really impressed, and we went up in proof. It was 100 for the Knob Creek, 107 for the Senator, and 114 for the Prideful Goat. And that Senator was right on the money. I mean, that was exactly what I was hoping to...
all Beam products, huh?
All Beam products.
Nice.
Whether it was for themselves or sourced. So...
Speaking of Mr. Minnick, can I steal a little segment of a show that I watch on YouTube, a sneaker show, where we rate somebody's outfit, and we drip it, we flip it, or we skip it. Can we pull up Fred's post that he posted on Instagram, what he was wearing at Bourbon Beyond?
Yeah. Let's go ahead and do that, I guess. So if you're watching on the YouTube version, you're seeing the I mean, here's the thing. I see this, and my immediate reaction is drip.
You think drip?
I'm thinking drip.
I'm gonna flip this one. I think there's enough there that you say that these perfectly round sunglasses with that little handkerchief on his neck there, his little ascot. You say this was actually worn by Fred Minnick. I think I could flip this to some people walking around, at least for a bottle, at least a trade. I'm not going to skip it. I think it's a great ensemble, but there's something about that ascot and those sunglasses that just makes me want to flip it. I think I could flip it.
No, man, it works for me. It works for me. It absolutely drips for me. So, what I'm kind of focusing on mostly is the color structure that he's got going on. So, you've got your primary kind of more pronounced color, and I mean literally a primary color with his blue suit. And you're kind of working your way around the color wheel in some ways.
Does got a little button thing there on his collar. I gotta say though, the only thing that would move me to a drip is the fact that he is fucking owning it. Look at this face. Look at that smolder he's got going on right there.
I think that's what sells it. I think that is the final cherry on top that sells the drip.
I'm definitely trashing the shoes, though. Those little slippers gotta go.
They look better in person.
I don't know.
They do.
Okay.
I saw he was wearing them yesterday too.
I'm still flipping this outfit. I'm flipping it. I'm flipping that ascot. I'm flipping those sunglasses, and I'm probably going to get at least an Old Weller antique out of them.
Man, I think that the sunglasses work so well with the ascot though, and again, it's kind of like this color theory thing.
I don't know
that it's the one thing that is kind of providing enough contrast within the drip itself to make things kind of work so well together. I think those two items, the ascot and the sunglasses, that is what makes this work. If he were walking around in this suit, same shirt, same jacket and pants, no ascot, shirt open, 2 buttons down, it would look so much douchier. I think that, honestly, the ascot is actually what helps tie everything about this together.
I think he's hiding something. I don't know what it is. He's hiding something under there. He's got a tattoo or something under there. He's just hiding.
It's Perry Russell. He's jumped ship. He's like, I like marzipan. I like almond butter.
I'm Perry Russell.
Wait, no, that's Pete Samuels.
Oh, shit, that's Pete Samuels.
Sorry.
Hey, I'm Perry Russell.
Pete is Pete.
Pete is Pete.
Anyway, so I do have one more Jim Beam recommendation, actually. And these bottles have been sitting around now for a few months. And I figured I wanted to take a little bit of the responsibility of actually having them into my own hands.
Oh.
So I took the Hardin's Creek releases.
Okay.
The 2-year-old 108 proof and the 15 to 16-year-old 108 proof.
Right.
And I did a 50-50 blend.
I was going to say, you put them together, didn't you, you crazy son of a bitch?
Kept asking if we could. They didn't stop to ask themselves if they should.
Should.
But here's the thing. You should, if you have these 2 bottles, you should absolutely do this blend. It is closer to, I would say, a Knob Creek than anything else within the Jim Beam profile or Jim Beam lineup of products, which I gravitate towards that bourbon anyway, but this helps to balance out all of the youthful notes that we were getting with the 2-year-old. And even if you're starting to find some overly oaky, darker notes that you might not like as much with the older version of this product, blending the 2 of them together, I think, is where this actually should have wound up being on the market. It's like when last year we
the makers.
The makers, exactly, the FAE 1 and 2. Once you actually blended the 2 of them together, it turned into a better product. And I think that's what we're kind of getting with the 2 Hardin's Creek releases. It's a very expensive $200 experiment to try on your own, but I think it helps to kind of elevate the experience of drinking both of those bottles, for sure.
Oh, that's fun. So I'll have to try that next time over.
All right. We're going into this a little bit blind. I've got it. I know that there are good interviews that are coming out of this, but I hope that you guys enjoy this year's coverage of Bourbon and Beyond. I'm probably going to do a little bit of a bonus episode as well, kind of wrapping up some of the coverage where I talk about the event as a whole, and it doesn't wind up being just like interview based. So we'll get into that probably in the next few days, but just wanted to give you a heads up that this is all of like the interviews or the chats or whatever. But
Pete is Pete.
We'll see you guys on the other side.
We are, I guess, kicking off Bourbon and Beyond with a Tennessee whiskey distillery, too. But
hey,
Nicole,
we make bourbon.
You do make bourbon, yes. This is Nicole from Cascade Hollow, George Dickel.
Thrilled to be here.
First of all, super nice to get to meet you finally,
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
Because this is... Dickel is now getting to that point where it's like everybody knows who kind of Dickel is, mainly by name.
I hope so, yeah.
But maybe less so the actual whiskey that's going into the bottle. And so much of that, too, is from, it's like, oh, it's sourced Dickel product and everything. But, like, you guys have so much more to offer than just being a sourcing distillery.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
So we have to talk, too, about... There's just been like innovation after innovation that you guys have been doing over the past few years. I want to talk specifically about the bottled and bond as well.
I'm so proud of that.
What was the kind of inspiration behind that? What kind of got things rolling with the Bottled and Bond?
So the Bottled and Bond was my first innovation release actually in this role, and really being perfectly candid, I was trying to change people's minds. When I took this role, I think just like you said, a lot of people had some really strong negative connotations about Dickel.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have heard that people can be mean on the internet sometimes. I don't know if that's ever
I've experienced
something
it once
you've
or
encountered.
twice. Yeah, it's I'm quite familiar.
Yeah. So I realized just what a big lift we had to show people what amazing whiskey we had. We had to counter that negative perception and show them. So Bottled and Bond, if I blend that whiskey and it goes out and wins awards, people would be forced to acknowledge that Cascade Hollow makes beautiful whiskeys, right? So that's what I set out to do. I never in a million years imagined that first one would win Whiskey of the Year. That was
And that was my next question.
That was out of the park. I never ever would have envisioned that happening. We didn't even get a table at Whiskey Fest that year because I didn't think that. They had to call us and be like, hey, maybe you want to come? And then that changed everything, right? And then, of course, the second one, a little nerve-wracking to now your first one won Whiskey of the Year. What are you going to do with the sequel?
Yeah.
I spent weeks working on that blend because I was so paranoid about it. Now I feel like, I understand our whiskeys better. I understand, Bottled and Bond has kind of got this very coherent kind of fruit and nut, core identity that I'm able to blend around. So it's a little less nerve-wracking now, but it's a whiskey that changed everything for George Dickel, so I love it.
You touched on something that I think is really something that we kind of ignore a lot with distillers and with brand rep, that you're still learning the whiskey
100%.
too.
I had just started.
Well, a good point for sure. Yeah. But I think that's something too that people don't always consider because it's ever changing. I mean, one barrel's not going to be the same as the next, and so on and so on. But
and whiskey's a long term. It's a 10-year project.
Yeah, absolutely.
The idea, I think, that we ever really learn it, ever really know it, it's a bit of a fantasy.
Yeah, for sure. So we got the Bottled and Bond.
Yes.
You guys have done this Leopold Brothers collaboration too.
Yes.
Yeah, it's really freaking good.
Thank you. I'm so proud of it.
I enjoyed that. How did that kind of come about? Were you all the ones that approached them, or vice versa?
So Todd actually came to me. We've been friends for a long time, and I've been following his work on resurrecting the 3-chamber for more than a decade now, and ultimately he learned later, right, that actually the way that the 3-chamber rye was most commonly sold was blended with the column distilled whiskey. So we've been friends. He called me asking if I could help him find some column distilled rye whiskey, to source so that he could properly resurrect the style, which was, of course, his ultimate ambition. And unknown to him, I had been distilling rye whiskey for 4 years at Cascade Hollow, and it just felt really serendipitous. It's like, let me call you back. Call my boss, like, hey, I want to do this. He signed off. I called him the next day and I was like, how about we do this together, Todd? So it was really serendipitous, and but I couldn't miss the opportunity. I love him as a producer. I respect him so much. I think he's incredible. And how often in your life do you get a chance to resurrect a lost style of American whiskey? So
very rarely.
No, I was thrilled to do it.
Yeah.
Thrilled.
Had something. I lost it for a second. Sorry. That's how it goes sometimes when you're just standing
what
out in
editing
the field.
is for.
Exactly. I know what it was. Were you always kind of looking at, and you've been with the brand for 4 years. 4 years now.
Yeah.
So that shift where you are doing the actual distillation of the rye whiskey, was that something that was always kind of in the cards before you got there, or were you kind of like helping to pioneer moving forward with distilling? Because you were sourcing from MGP for a while,
so and
right?
the core Dickel rye is Indiana rye, right? And I have no intention to change that, and that whiskey is beautiful the way it is, right? But always, certainly before me, they had done some different experimental distillations at Cascade Hollow, tried things at different times.
Sure.
But, I came in and I think really saw an opportunity for us to make rye. I was always interested in rye. So started making it without a particular product in mind, just let's see what we can do here. And it was just coming 4 years, so I was just starting to think about, what do I want to do with this whiskey? And when he called me.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
It's thrilling. Initially, we had thought maybe, blend, like, there were a lot of opportunities, but I can't imagine a better use than this one, and I certainly couldn't have that.
Yeah. So is rye the future of Dickel, or where do you guys kind of see? What do you want to do with future products?
Listen, I think this is one of the most exciting distilleries in America right now. I mean, I think I'm not going to limit myself to one category or one item. I'm interested. I love whiskey. I love all whiskey. I'm interested in really exploring the breadth and depth of what we're capable of.
If I can get more of those 15, 16-year, 17-year picks, I'll be happy.
I mean, unfortunately, I can't go back in time.
That is true.
And make more of those. That's always the rub in whiskey distilling. But we do have some. As always,
good to hear.
We've got a little hoard, a little stash.
Nicole, thank you so much.
It was such a pleasure. It was such a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, we're going to see how this goes because we got an airplane flying overhead of us, and we got Jimmy Vaughn playing in the background. But I'm super happy to be welcoming the Brewer Brothers.
Yeah, that's right. Right.
Guys, it's so good to have you all on the podcast too. You're playing with your dad, right, Gary?
Brewer. Yep.
Celebrating 40 years too of it being in the music industry, being in brewgrass,
that's right.
Bluegrass, however you guys want to actually put it.
Man.
But what's it mean to be able to come to Bourbon and Beyond and share this music? I mean, this is very ingrained in your souls, not just as musicians, but Kentuckians too.
Right. Absolutely, man. Well, we're just tickled to death, man, to be able to be a part of Bourbon and Beyond because, like you said, it's so just vast is a good word for it. I mean, just like you said, who's playing right now, and then it's awesome. All these artists coming together for something like this. I mean, where else can you go and hear these same people at the same day at the same place, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's pretty awesome. And of course, we want to congratulate our dad for 40 years. That's a long time to do anything, and it's a lot of work, man. People don't. We was talking about this in an earlier interview. People see you pull in a $1.5 million bus and come out and sparkle coats and everything, and they say, man, I want to be a rock star. I want to do that.
Yeah.
And we love it, but it's a lot of work, and he's put his work in, and we're kindly reaping the benefits of a lot of the hard work he's done, and we've put in some of our own as well, of course.
Of course. Because you didn't just come out and you were able to play music. I mean, you had to sit down and do it. But did you guys feel any kind of pressure or anything to play music growing up, or did that just kind of come naturally?
It was just natural, man, because it was everywhere encompassed around us, growing up, and we was both kindly right as we sort of almost come out of the womb, we was on the tour bus and out going, and Dad would take us, and it's always been a part of our life, and so it's like people that grow up, if their parents are swimmers or just whatever, it's just that's all we've ever known,
Right.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're tickled to be a part of it, and Mason, you go ahead and shed a little light.
Yeah, it's something to answer your question there. It wasn't something that was forced.
Sure. Yeah. Of course.
Because obviously, a lot of people might see where that could happen, and it's like, okay, your dad's in the music business. He obviously wants you to follow in his footsteps. It wasn't anything like that. We took it upon ourselves at separate times. He obviously was in the band before I was, and then after I come along, in other words, it was something that we wanted to do just on our own. We had our own ideas about what we wanted to do for a living and everything, and so that's what we wanted to do, and that's what we stuck with.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. He let us kind of choose our own path.
Right.
It's a good thing it wasn't forced with us, because the way we are, we'd have rebelled against it, not done it. That's what I was thinking when he said it. But,
I get that for sure.
But he was just like it was something we wanted to do, like I say, and he reminds us of that occasionally. If we gripe about anything, he'll say, "Well, you wanted this."
Yeah.
But it is true. But there's a producer of ours that says this all the time, and I really, honestly, I never thought of it like this, but because, like I said, it's always been just what we've always been used to.
Of course.
He said, he put his arm around me and Mason. He said, this is not normal life. He said, people don't normally get to do this when they go to their 9 to 5. He said, this is not, in other words, this is extraordinary to be able to live life and do this actually for a living. That's all we've ever done. Our whole life, we've never worked. Well, we've worked, but we ain't never worked.
You've worked
a day job, like they call it.
Sure.
But
I don't want to discredit though the actual work that you guys have put in, because this isn't
sunshine and rainbows.
No,
of course,
when you work
absolutely.
for yourself, then you don't have a clock out.
It's stressful
done when it's done.
Exactly. Exactly. I get that. I was up until about 5 a.m. the other day, just editing podcast stuff,
but it's a passion. See,
absolutely,
and the
absolutely.
same way with the podcast, it's like I said earlier, I said it's all good and it's made us a living, and we've been fortunate that way. We're all thankfully, we're not in mansions, but we're all in 3,000 or 4,000 square foot houses, and we're all paid off. We don't owe anybody for our house. We don't owe anybody for none of our vehicles. We've all got newer vehicles. We own our own tour bus. So in other words, we really ain't asking nobody for nothing. We're just doing it, and if we do 100 dates a year or 50, we're content, and that's a good place to be. But in your mind, we're all competitive, so there's always that. Oh yeah, if we did 50 this year, we want to do double that next year. You always want more. I think that's everything in life. It's like if you ever ask somebody, hey, can you have too much of this or that? It's hard to. You say no, you can have too much of anything. Of course. But if you have, we ain't never had it yet. But the point is, man, I think it's just a wonderful. It's a blessing. It's a blessing that we've been able to do this, and that we've been able to share it with each other. You know what I'm saying? And our grandfather, we lost him in 2020. My dad's dad.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
He always performed with us.
Yeah.
And he was for Dad's entire 40-year career. He was the bus driver. He done all the driving. So of course we miss him and from that aspect, and we miss him from everything else too, because he was a jokester. He always would have us at 3, 4, 5 in the morning.
Yeah.
If you get up, we get kind of goofy when it gets late.
Wonky.
Yeah, and
you've expended yourself. I'm sure a couple drinks might be in there too, and
People, when we get up, past about 3 a.m., we can stay up for probably 3 days. A lot of these other, and have on multiple occasions. A lot of these guys, they all are bragging and say, oh yeah, I'm a road guy, I'm a road hard guy.
Right.
You get on there, and I mean, within about 2 days with us, they can't even tell you their name. I'm not kidding you.
We took this guy. We tried out this new roadie, and at the end of the first day, we was driving through the night to the next gig. He couldn't even sit in the seat. He kept sliding out of the seat.
And the funny thing is, Mason, because we could stay up so late, he said, and I didn't know this till after the fact, that the boy spent the night with him the night before, because we all are based out of down there, basically E-Town area. And so we've got a big warehouse and stuff, and it's right there, we call it our compound, right by all of our houses. Dad owns about 400 acres out there, so we're all on ups and ends. And so he stayed with Mason, and instead of them going to sleep that night, because we were going on about a 4-day run, instead of them going to sleep that night, they laid down there, and then Mason got up, turned every light in the house on, and said, hey, have you seen my AR-15s? And so then he immediately goes into taking that gun apart, showing him all this gun collection and every other thing he could think of. In other words,
how'd that go over?
It was great.
He didn't let him go to bed till 6 a.m. and we left at 7. So he was wasn't thinking about
he was excited, period. So he wasn't thinking about the time. I was like, all right, we should probably go to sleep,
Yeah.
And then, of course, we're leaving at like 8 o'clock, and it was about 7, getting close to 7 a.m.
Right.
And I said, all right, we should go to sleep. And I slept an hour, woke up, set the alarm, and I got over there and woke up, and he was, and I jarred his trotters loose. I said, wake up! It's time to get in the shower. We got to go.
part of me is like, what does that do for your creative process too? Because I mean, you guys are, you know, you're writing with your dad too. I mean, he's not writing everything. Yeah.
And so
we take a little hit of life every now and then.
That's what I say. We're just natural high on life, so to speak. And you know what? People don't understand that, but when you perform anywhere, I don't care if it's to 2 people or 2 million.
It's a rush.
It's like I told somebody.
It's hard to go to sleep after.
It's like
I know
where people can understand it. Just general people. It's like riding the biggest roller coaster you've ever rode. Right, that feeling you get when you're going down this biggest hill on this roller coaster. But like amplify that by like 10. And people don't understand that, and but that's the way it is, and so that's what we always say. We do it all over again for free. I mean, because if you really think about, and that goes back to circling back what we started out on with that. Hey, this ain't normal life.
Yeah.
So you know, if something happened to us tomorrow, we've been blessed. You know what I mean? So that's a cool way to think, and we try to do that every day. Like, just put it all in, do the best show we can, do the best we can, because you never know, man.
God, I really hope this isn't your last interview, though.
I hope not. But you never know, man. Nowadays, and
a lot of things happen.
Of course.
People don't understand on the road traveling. We've seen so many things through the years traveling, and we've been just lucky, you know.
Yeah. Well, if this did wind up being your last interview, what do you want to put out into the world? What do you just want to, some piece of wisdom, some piece of knowledge for people? Because I mean, you can write all the songs that you want, and you can sing all the songs that you want, but not everybody hears those in the way that you intend them.
Right.
So what's your message for people?
I'm going to exit on out here and leave basically to finish up. And I know we've been having a good time of cutting up, but like you said, that's a good wholesome thought. And I would just tell everybody, man, in other words, we love each other and we love our family. And in other words, family is the most important thing.
Exactly.
And you know, sometimes you love them, sometimes you hate them. You know. But people don't understand that unless they're traveling together every day. But it's all good at the end of the day. In other words, the good outweighs the bad, and we love our music progress. And I feel like together we've created, and we've went from his career and we breathed new life into it. And together as a family, we've created something that I think will last.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It'll be relevant 20 years from now, I feel like, and people will rediscover it then. And so that's my any thought. Love you guys. And I'm gonna
Wayne, it was so good to meet you, man. Absolutely. We need to have some drinks later together too.
Thank you guys so much for everything.
Wayne, thank you, buddy.
Well, to answer your question on my end of it,
he walks away and you're like, I hate that guy. Can't stand him. That was all a bunch of
right. No, on my end of it, kind of to touch on the same thing that he said, but also I feel like that it's important that people discover in the music business, especially like younger people who are just getting into it, no matter what the genre is, it's important that they discover their originality. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because
their own voice.
That's something that is not... It's kind of a big hole almost that nowadays you don't hear a lot of people doing new original things.
Absolutely.
No matter what genre, it's not genre specific. And it's important to do that because that's how music goes on. You know, people, even though that they're great and we all love their music, all of the greats, you can't be that person again because there's already been one of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's an important thing, and that's what we've tried to do. Even when you play, there's nothing wrong with tipping your hat to somebody and playing somebody else's songs, but put your own twist on it, you know?
Yeah. The irony is not lost on me that Jimmy Vaughn, who is just a child of, you know, a student of the blues, is playing just as you're saying that. And I mean, it just... I think that's something I completely agree with you. You know, people need to actually step in and like understand how they fit into their own
look at all
music.
The greats. That's where they came from. They listened to Muddy Waters and all those guys, and that's how that they became who they were and found their path, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody's got a place in the music industry. You just got to take the time and kind of discover where that is.
For sure. Mason, I appreciate you too, man. Thank you so much for sitting down with me for a little bit. And people go check out, where can they listen to your all's music too?
Spotify, all the major streaming platforms.
Yeah.
We're on all those. Spotify, Pandora, all that good stuff. Go to brewgrass.com, check out our tour dates and everything, and we'll see you guys hopefully down the road.
Yeah, you will.
Social media, follow us on there, Gary Brewer and the Kentucky Ramblers. Hopefully we'll see you guys down the road sometime.
Sounds great, Mason. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
Brother.
Yeah, dude. Day 4, Bourbon and Beyond. Day 2 for me, and for these guys as well, Chad and Sarah. What a surprise running into you all here.
At a bourbon event? Who would have thought?
Where you guys actually are going to be doing a session too here in a little bit.
I'm not nervous at all about it.
Well, you know.
Fully confident.
Speaking juice helps.
It does.
Which is the other name for bourbon.
Speaking juice?
Speaking juice.
That's what I call it. I need a little.
I always thought it was courage water.
Liquid
Both,
courage.
all of them.
I like courage water better because it makes you sound like you just word vomited.
Well, it depends if you want name brand or if you want the knockoff label. You know.
Support water, I think is.
Speaking juice is like, you know, the brand name, and then courage juice is like the Walmart brand.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like Mountain Holler.
The Big K.
The knockoff brand,
yeah.
It helps me feel all the eyeballs staring at me less.
Right.
All the judgment. It's a little easier to take with some speaking juice.
Well, also
or courage water.
what's cool is we're going to be outside, so we're thinking, since it's so sunny, we're going to be wearing sunglasses, and then it's like extra layer.
So you guys are also really, really high right now.
Yeah.
I'm not built for this weather. I don't know if you've seen me, but my skin is almost translucent. This is not the weather for me. I do not thrive. I'm half potato.
You've also been here for about 2 minutes, and you've just been waving the fan constantly.
I'm already sweating.
Yeah. That's just how it goes. But I got to ask you guys too, because you came from the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, how things were there, how it compared to, well, I mean, it's not apples to apples essentially, but you know, you got to kind of run the gamut of all the bourbon festivities happening this weekend. So how are you holding up, first of all?
Ooh.
Better than expected.
Yeah.
Better than expected. I actually have energy, which is shocking. Didn't feel so great this morning, but I'm here. It's 2 o'clock. I'm here.
Yeah, you know, I think we ran into more people that we knew at the Kentucky Bourbon Festival, and you know, that kind of drains your social battery a little bit more.
Yeah, for sure.
But here at Bourbon Beyond, since it's so big, you know, we did run into some people here and there, but not as many. So we were able just to sort of walk around, meander around, and
do our own thing, kind of.
Yeah, it was almost in a weird way more energizing. Like after yesterday, I don't know. Maybe I'm speaking wrong.
I get what you're saying.
I get that because you're actually kind of like able to keep to yourself, and like it helps you to get more energy back than it does.
Yeah, it was
anything.
a good little recharge. I feel like yesterday.
I believe that.
But as far as like the feel, I feel like Kentucky Bourbon Festival, you're gonna have more bourbon fans, and here obviously it's more music fans. So you have more people wanting to know about the bottle and the pour and the brands, and here it's more, can I have more bourbon?
And you know,
to an extent.
Yeah, and we were talking about this before we started recording too, but when you go to these events, they have the tent set up for different brands, but it's not Jimmy Russell and the Wild Turkey tent.
Not anymore.
But it's people who have been hired to wear the shirt and say, drink Maker's Mark or drink Knob Creek. It's not somebody from the distillery. And I think that you really, really lose that accessibility if that's the route that you go.
I think here at Bourbon Beyond, if you want that accessibility, you got to go to the you got to presentations at the bourbon stage.
Exactly,
And it's still going to be less hands-on because it's going to be more you're watching a presentation, but
I mean, I don't know. I think they give you options, like for the maybe the new bourbon drinker who would go up to the big bourbon bar and just say, I don't know, I pick whatever.
It's overwhelming.
Right, there's a lot of options, but
I
think the majority of the festival caters to like, I'm interested or I know enough to know I want this one. But then they also have like activations if you go looking for them. Again, like the on the stage, and then they had the Chris's Picks Bourbon Bar, and they've got the Silver Dollar Hunters Club, which again, if you know what you're looking for, you can find it. But as Kentucky Bourbon Festival, it's kind of more like that everywhere, but then you don't get, as big and you don't get the music.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a trade-off.
Yeah. I don't know. There's something about, and I mean, this is now the 4th time that I've been to Bourbon and Beyond, but there's something that just feels more comfortable being here. Like, I don't feel like I have to be as on,
So that's what I was going to say before. Yeah. It's like, I don't mean to say, I don't know, when we talk in that way, I'm like, do we sound self-important? I don't know, but like, it's almost like when you meet people who watch or listen, you want to give them the best possible experience when you have that interaction. Yeah. And it does take a little piece of your energy every time to be able to do that. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing. Yeah. We love meeting all those people, but at the end of the day, I'm like, I have nothing left to give. Whereas here, you get to be just one in a crowd, you just get to walk around and enjoy.
Can we watch Teletubbies and go to sleep, please? Brain no worky. No, I get that too. This is, kind of a deeper conversation than I was initially intending. But
we're deep people, Perry.
What are your top 3 worst fears? I'm just kidding.
Having my nails ripped off.
Ew.
Okay.
Having all my teeth pulled out of my head.
All right.
Oh, I have that dream a lot.
I have it. It's a weird thing. It like, even like teeth breaking. I hate it. I hate that thought.
But teeth crumbling is a recurring dream of mine.
So probably we could add getting a curb stomp to your list.
Yes.
Chad, wow, this got real intense.
I think that kind of goes hand in hand with
losing teeth. He doesn't want to lose any teeth. His adult teeth.
And then I guess losing my wife and child. Okay. Honestly,
it's getting real here. This is my Bourbon Podcast.
Maybe I should have said just irrational fears.
No, I would say 2 out of 3 of those.
2 out of 3 of those are semi-irrational.
Yeah.
So this I'll leave it up to you to guess. Yeah. So anyways, we're having a great day.
So like the thing about it though too is like you meet these people who consume your content, and like you also have to like not be too drunk.
Too drunk, yeah. It's definitely a fine balance where like I want to have enough. Yeah. As we talked about earlier, speaking juice, liquid courage.
Social interaction juice.
Yeah, some social interaction juice to, keep me energized and going throughout the day, but then you don't want to go over that tipping point, that bell curve on the other side of it, and then you're like, did I meet you? What did we talk about? And this is why I have such a hard time remembering names, faces, and places at festivals.
His name's Perry.
I know. I've been thinking this whole time, like, I think it starts with a P.
How do I know this guy?
I've met him before.
Has he been to my house?
People will say, oh, we met him.
Oh, man, I called him Peter.
That's not the first or last time that will happen to me. Not the first or last time that will happen to me.
Or I guess Jerry would have been.
Jerry.
I have been called Jerry, Barry,
Larry,
Gary, Larry, Harry.
I like Jerry.
Airy.
I'll tell you a funny story about Jerry off stage.
Now I'm just going through the alphabet. Fairy. I already did Jerry. Harry.
You're right. All right, cut him off.
Mary.
He's done.
Harry.
Query.
Zary.
Yeah.
Chad, it's only 2. Well, now it's 3.
But anyway, I don't even really know what we're talking about at this point. But I'm really excited to see you guys do this in person. Because, like, I don't think I've ever been present for you all doing a flight fight.
Oh.
And it's, like, I've known you all for, 5 years now? And I'm just now realizing that's never, not that I would be, like, lurking in the shadows or anything.
Look at our little
recording.
milestone moments that we're having.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You guys are about to hit 6 years, right?
We have hit 6.
6 years in July.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Golly, man.
I know. I can't believe it.
We'll be 5 next month.
Wow.
Yeah, which is crazy because I always think like we've been doing the channel for about 3 years before we met Perry, but that's not
true.
That's not the case at all.
And I mean, I didn't start the podcast too long after I met you all either.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of a very quick progression. But again, 2020 absolutely destroyed my sense of time.
Right.
So
Yeah.
And time flies when you're drinking bourbon.
It was a leap year. We just leaped the year.
That's a good joke. Are you going to throw that in your
type 5? I'm here all week.
He's been working on his jokes as we've been sitting at this table. I'm like, wow.
You're going to throw that in your
I have to laugh
type
and
5
pretend
too.
like it's the first time I've heard them.
I haven't said that before. I don't think.
Well, we'll figure it out together. But anyway, I always feel like, too, these festivals are not complete without me seeing you guys and sitting down and getting to chat for a little while at this point. But I don't think I have to say this to anybody listening to this show, but if you haven't watched It's Bourbon Night yet, watch It's Bourbon Night, because
please,
still the best,
we invite
still
you
the best in the biz.
For your consideration. Yeah.
We're just happy to be here.
Yeah. It's just an honor to be nominated.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging out for a little
Thank
bit.
you, Pear Bear.
I didn't even talk about this Makers. It's really good.
Oh,
Did you get me Makers?
I did.
It doesn't taste like
That's
Makers.
That's what I asked for. I saw them pour Makers.
It tastes oakier than
I'm doing something unusual and drinking bourbon on the rocks.
I was surprised. I thought you had wine.
It's too hot.
You thought you had wine?
Wine?
It's also not wine weather.
Oh, I see. It does kind of look like
a
white
Chardonnay
wine
or something.
Yeah.
Sure. That's what I saw from a distance.
Sure.
No.
Presumptuous little number.
It's too hot.
You know what they say about Perry assuming things? He does it a lot and he's always wrong.
I think that's how that goes, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. All right. We'll get you guys out of here.
Bye.
Bye. See, what they don't tell you is that if you use 2 microphones, you wind up being twice as good at podcasting. So, not like that, though. That's the... If I had to give you any notes, that's the absolute wrong way to use a microphone.
Don't do it that way.
To record a podcast.
Let's stop it immediately.
God, I came on really strong after a really nice conversation that we had before I hit the record button.
No, that was exactly the vibe. We're all just a little tired, a little out of it. My voice is like crumbling.
I can hear it for sure. But so I guess I should say, I'm sitting down with Bella White too, Canadian country music superstar.
Oh wow, I'll take it. I won't argue with you. That's me.
I'm really, really excited to get down and get to sit down and talk with you.
Thank you.
About your music. Absolutely, and thank you for taking your time to chat. You're currently writing your second album, right?
Just finished recording it.
Finished recording it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're ahead of schedule.
Unlike Boy and Bear, who were supposed to be here this weekend, and
really?
they backed out because they were recording right now.
Oh, duty calls, I guess.
I mean, I would have taken a little bit of time to get away and perform personally.
Do the thing.
But do the thing that you're supposed to be doing anyway.
Anyway, especially after the past few years of not getting to do that thing. Yeah, I feel you.
That's beside the point. But how are you feeling about coming back into the studio on your second go around?
I feel good about it. I mean, it was a really positive experience. It was definitely a different experience than making the first album. I feel like we had a lot more support. Just with having the label there and having just more connections and just a beautiful studio to record. I mean, we recorded the first album in a beautiful studio too, but this was just a different experience. Very, very different experience, and it was awesome. I feel really great about it.
There's a guy that I used to follow quite a bit. Sorry, also if it seems like I'm really quiet, because I can hear myself in the headphones, and I'm like, I think I'm being too loud.
No, you're not.
But there's a guy I follow who said that recording an album is like trying to get back to Narnia through the same door
get
twice.
Back
to Narnia.
Oh.
Through the same door twice.
Kind of.
It was like you can never find the exact same way to get
and
to
it's like
it.
a fool's errand to try. It's just not.
I don't. And I don't want to do anything the same way twice anyway.
No, I mean, it's like people have heard your you've already made one album. It's like, make a new album now. Don't make it the same album. I mean,
that sounds so aggressive.
It's make a different album.
They got a knife to your throat. Yeah. They're like, make an album. You're like, I don't want to right now.
You're like, I'm tired.
I'm in the bath.
Yeah, I'm relaxing. Goodbye.
How did you kind of know when you were ready to get back into the studio? Was it an amount of songs? Was it the quality of the songs? Was it just like
it was a culmination of all sorts of different things? Like definitely those factors felt like good. I was like, okay, I've been writing this year, like over the past 2 years, like, you know, gathering my little ducks or eggs or whatever to put in my basket. Anyway,
your duck eggs.
My duck eggs, exactly. It's a bigger egg. And then also just like feeling like ready to kind of like show forth what I've been working on and how it's evolving. And it definitely feels like after, you know, having this album just like leaving have been out for 2 years, like it felt like I was ready to bring some new energy and some new sounds into the world.
And I know that this is a common question, but what did these past couple insane years do for you musically? Like, did you feel more of like a sense of calm when you sat down to write, or were you just as stressed as you might have been beforehand, or what was that like for you?
It was definitely like, it was a really interesting 2 years because over like the course of the pandemic, in the middle of the pandemic, I signed with my label, Rounder Records, and then we re-released the album that I'd already put out. So it started as being this very like calm time where I was writing a lot and like really just like, I don't know, getting in touch with the side of myself I hadn't been able to really access in a while. And then when I signed with the label, it turned into like all of a sudden just being like incredibly busy with like Zoom meetings all day, every day, just like trying to navigate that. And so it like went from this kind of calm, introspective time to this like really intense, like kind of stressful time where I was like, okay, I'm making all of these like really big life decisions and like I can't leave my house and I don't know what to do. So it was kind of like, it was definitely like a little overwhelming, and I feel like there was a moment where I kind of had to take a step back from writing and like just kind of like forget about it for a minute and like not feel bad about that.
Yeah.
And then since things have been kind of opening up and people are out doing stuff like this now, I feel like I'm kind of back in a good state. But the pandemic definitely like it took a toll for sure, but it also was a really like beautiful time to connect with myself a little bit more and like reassess how I want to write going forward. And
revisiting these songs that you've kind of had in your back pocket for so long, and we were talking about this before I hit record, but going into your first album, it was a culmination of like years and years and years of writing.
Totally.
And I know that experience very intimately because I did basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But going back and like revisiting those songs for you now, what's your relationship with them at this point? I mean, do you still love them as much as you did then? Do you feel kind of a disconnect from it in some ways?
It kind of ebbs and flows. Like I go through periods of time where I'm like, okay, enough. I don't want to like always sing these songs anymore. And then I have to just like, I mean, honestly, playing them for people and like today, our set today, like there were so many people singing along and like, you know, just like really feeling it and like
that is so cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And it's like when I'm watching those people like connecting with them and like being brought, you know, emotion from that, like it kind of reinvigorates the like sensation that I felt when I wrote those songs of just being like, oh, these are like my like these songs, even though they're like some of them are like 5 years old. It's like they're songs I wrote at a time feeling like a really intense emotion at that time. And so like as much as now I can kind of feel a little disconnected from them or a little farther away when I'm like in these environments where like I'm watching someone experience it, I'm like, oh damn, like that makes me feel it more again because like I'm watching you have a direct like emotional reaction.
That's a really cool experience to have.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Sure.
I mean, it's just like it blows my mind every time. I'm like, oh damn, people like it.
And thank God too, or else you wouldn't be able to, you know, do a lot of this.
Wouldn't be here,
What's something that you really want to accomplish musically? Maybe like, you know, a different genre or something, like you want to collaborate with somebody, like what's like a big bucket list musical goal for you?
Well, I feel like one of them like within the like world of like country and bluegrass music, like playing the Ryman Auditorium in Nashville, like
heck yeah,
that would be a big dream of mine. And like it's so great to like that dream feels attainable, you know, like I have so many friends that are playing there, and like, but I've yet to witness the Ryman from the stage. I've been to shows there, but
we'll get you to open for Tyler Childers or something.
That'd be awesome.
You know, I'll talk about Tyler in a second, but really nice to sit down with you.
Yeah,
it's been a lot of fun. Yeah, where can people go find your music and everything?
It's all on Spotify. I was about to say it's on Instagram. I mean, it isn't on Instagram, but you can find me on Instagram.
I think I need to stop asking people where they can find their music. I mean, like, everybody knows.
But maybe someone has like a really crazy answer. They're like, if you go down to like 12th Street and
on the fourth night of every
there's a treasure chest. If you go to the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold, and it's just filled with like floppy disks.
Spent all floppy disks of music. That brought back a memory I hadn't accessed in a long time of like just.
Do you want to share?
Shoving me. Well, I mean, like, you know, like you, as you get to the point where you're like, oh, I want to like, you know, like bring my music with me.
Oh yeah.
There was a period where I was like, oh, the best way to do this is on a floppy disk. And so I would go to school early, and I would go to the computer lab.
Yes.
And I would sit there, and I would download music to the floppy disk, and I would literally never listen to it.
No,
because
not
it's
even
the most
once.
inconvenient way to do anything is use a floppy disk. There's no like converter for floppy disks now, like the way that there are for SD cards.
Yeah, like any other thing.
There's no way that you can do anything with
obsolete.
them now. They're just frisbees at this point.
Yeah, well, everyone likes a good game of disc golf.
I am terrible at throwing a frisbee.
Me too. I'm really bad. I'm also really bad at catching them. I get like scared, like when I like start like just like jumping around and flinching.
The trick is to use your teeth.
Oh,
sorry, that was a really dumb thing for me to say.
No, it was really smart. I would be the last person. I would be the last person to be able to catch a frisbee with my teeth. I would get so scared, and I know it would hurt.
Oh, it absolutely would.
But dogs. They do that like
dogs.
There's no tomorrow.
End of sentence. But dogs.
But dogs.
But dogs.
I love those guys.
Yeah. Thank you again, Bella.
Yeah,
it's been great chatting with you.
Yeah.
Cheers. For the first time in 3.5 years, I'm finally sitting down with my buddy Fred Minnick since before COVID.
Yeah.
Wait, 2.5.
Well, I mean, we did some online stuff, I think.
We did. Because we did I was at the Repeal Day Fest.
We did stuff.
Yeah, we did stuff, but this is the first time that we've really sat down and been able to see each other and chat since. I mean, the last time I saw you was like a month before the pandemic got rolling.
Now we're not wearing masks, and we're just kind of around here chilling and having a good time.
It's different. How are you feeling about everything?
Oh, fucking great.
Comfortable as ever?
I'm so like, look, the pandemic was real, and it's still very much, you know, you can still very much get COVID.
Yeah.
But when Omicron started, like, everybody's getting Omicron, and it was like everything was changing, like in the event space, people were trying to like do measures again. I'm like, I don't think people will accept another lockdown. You know, we've all been vaccinated, masked, and everything, but I don't think we can. I think there's more damage to be cooped up as a society.
Yeah.
At that point, now when we had the lockdowns initially, you know, I think there should be some really good discussions about like how that helped. You know.
Yeah.
I think there's both sides, and I'm actually one of the few people that will listen to both sides instead of like taking an extreme. But anyway, I digress.
No.
How you been, man?
I've been really well. Last time I saw you two, I wasn't yet a dad.
Yeah.
And I've become a father since then.
Yeah, now you can't sleep, and you worry about everything all the time.
I go through periods where I'm not as worried. Like, I just kind of, like, I'm able to subside a lot of those fears.
Yep.
And then I think, like, yesterday, I had a mild panic attack.
Because
just thinking about, like, just a possibility of what might happen to her. You know? Like, they don't happen as often anymore because I'm more used to it. But when they hit hard. they hit hard, man. But
yeah, it's tough.
She's healthy, which is the biggest blessing we can ask
tough,
for right
man.
now. But
never stops.
I want to ask you how soon, when everything was kicking off with the pandemic, did you kind of realize that Bourbon and Beyond wasn't going to happen in 2020?
Oh well, we pretty knew. They knew pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I would say when things started getting shut down, like you can't a festival like this, you have to have you can't announce it. You need at least like 6 months to announce, promote, all that stuff. And if you are a month late, that has an impact. And I think March is when all the decisions were being made.
Yeah.
And, I got furloughed from this, and, it's severed, one of my really major things. I also was furloughed with a magazine I started, Bourbon Plus, and that forced me to focus on myself and my a podcast that I had just started, and Bourbon Pursuit, and YouTube. Those were my only 3 ways to earn a living.
And it's a small empire now.
Well, I don't know about that.
It feels like it though, just because of all the different things that you kind of have as many fingers in as many pies as you can.
Yeah, I win a competition. I got the podcast and stuff, and I do a lot of events back doing that.
Yeah,
but I don't really quite know what I am anymore. I used to be a writer.
I was just about to ask.
I don't know what I am anymore.
Yeah,
and I really have. I personally I struggle with it, and I think it's because we put ourselves in boxes. I'm not a YouTuber.
Sure,
I'm not. Yeah. I have a YouTube channel, but I don't consider myself a YouTuber. A whiskey tuber, but not a YouTuber. YouTubers, that's all they do, and PewDiePie or whatever his name is going to they're all, or Logan Paul, oh bro, man, look at this over here, man, I'm
just
broing.
Not you. That's just not you at all.
I don't do that. But
are you writing therapeutically?
Nah, I'm not. Actually, I was just telling my wife, I was I want to be writing a book right now, but the amount I haven't told anybody about this, but I am working on something that could change. That could really change what I do.
Really?
Yeah, I can't say.
That's okay.
Can't say too much about it, but it involves me talking to people. So there's a hint of what it is.
So another podcast.
I didn't say it was a podcast, but
how many podcasts can one guy have before they start to go crazy?
I only have 2.
Yeah.
And also, really, Bourbon Pursuit.
Yeah.
I'm a part of it. I'm like the third wheel.
Yeah.
But really, that's all Kenny.
Yeah.
Kenny, thank God I have Kenny Coleman in my life, because that guy, for that, I wish he would run all my other businesses that I do, because he just says, show up here, I do it. He's got everything planned out. He's got all these spreadsheets and mathematical equations and stuff, and it's my God, why? How are you so gifted at this stuff? And I just suck. It's all in here, man.
Yeah.
It's all where all my organization is. It's in my brain. Or some random piece of paper, or maybe an empty envelope that has a to-do list on it. But
we're very similar in that way.
It's nuts.
Every time that I try to write out a schedule for myself, I wind up either forgetting about it and forgetting to add stuff, or just completely ignoring it.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't function that way.
Right.
Somehow I can't function that way anymore. But I feel a sense of relief, or maybe even release, sitting down and talking with you for the first time. Because it used to be, we'd see each other every 6 months.
Right.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
2.5 years, and it's
been a while.
Now I kind of start to feel like things are getting back to normal. This
maybe,
was kind of the last little piece of my puzzle that I
Well, the difference between now and then, now there were maybe 12 bourbon podcasts. Now there are 1,200.
Yes.
And and every 5 minutes there's someone, making a play for a YouTube channel or something like that.
And you get a lot of requests to be on those channels, on those podcasts.
Yeah, a little bit, but I actually am all for it. Like if I have the time, I will try to help grow people's stuff. And I remember when I was coming up the ranks as a shit turd writer, and I didn't have anyone to help me or edit me or kind of get me in a direction. When I was coming up, it was all writing. There was no podcast. There's Mark Gillespie, and that was it. Yeah. And he's still, to me, the standard of whiskey podcasting. Yeah. And like there was not like what we have today. And there's a lot of people who come out and they want to try to figure things out and they want to get involved. And I think the worst step that anyone can make is like, hey, how can I be the next you? I can't give anybody I can't give anyone like a checklist to do what I did. I wouldn't encourage anyone to do it. It's hard.
Yeah.
And it's not like this happened overnight. It's 16 years of a lot of work, a lot of late nights, a lot of studying, and it's if you're just getting in, what I've learned is seems to be the progression of people getting in the game. They're enthusiasts, then they have a podcast, and then they start a brand or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think the end goal for so many people was to start a brand, and I've never had that, and I get requested all the time to collaborate or start a brand or do something, and I feel like so many people expect something from me that I like doing what I do. It's I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore.
Well, I'll say this, and I've never said this like directly to you, but I was very fortunate to have you around as I was starting out, and in many ways I do consider you a mentor.
Oh.
For a lot of what I
man, you must have a short list of people. Must not have had much help if I was your mentor.
It was mostly about availability, and you've never been shy about answering my questions.
Yeah,
you've always been very, very.
Because I'm usually on the other stick. I'm on the other side.
Yeah, and I really appreciate that, and it's been a long couple of years. Not seeing you for one, but it's been nice to still kind of keep up with you.
Instagram's one thing, right?
Exactly.
But, in person's another.
Yeah. So we got to make a pact.
Yeah.
At least every few months to
look. Every day I have a goal of figuring out a way to do something in Lexington. Lexington is hard for me to have like an event series or something there, and it has nothing to do with because people don't want it. It's just It's like it's far enough away. If I'm doing an event, like probably should get a hotel room.
Yeah.
But it's close enough where I don't want to be away from my family.
Yeah, of course.
So like I struggle. I really do struggle with Lexington. I want to do stuff in Lexington, but it's like I have to commit to Lexington like I would Chicago.
Yeah.
That's what it's like for me.
For sure.
Because it's not like I just go to things and like sign a book. We're putting whiskey in the belly, and when you put whiskey in the belly, shouldn't be getting behind the wheel.
No.
So
exactly.
That's kind of how I look at that.
So we hope everybody who's listening that was at Bourbon and Beyond has been responsible too.
Yeah, drink responsibly, man.
Yeah,
hydrate,
sure.
Drink a lot of water and stuff. Yeah.
Man, I appreciate you a lot.
Yeah, we're in the media area back here, Bourbon and Beyond. The music's kicking up again, and people are eating their lunch. And some artists are coming through here, and everyone's kind of getting ready. Everybody's sideballing and doing stuff.
Sideballing.
See the Peerless folks there. Jessica's over there.
There we go. Awesome, man. Fred, I love you. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for sitting down with me for a little while.
Back at you.
Do it again soon.
All right.
Oh, we're
Here we are. We got a little something there.
So we got to actually keep acting like we're talking about something.
Well, we can still talk about something. We had a little photo there.
That was
yeah.
What have you been drinking recently that you've been surprised by?
This year?
Yeah.
Starlight's Double Barrel. That's become a house pour lately.
Yeah.
My wife, I had to buy a case of it to satisfy her quench.
It seems consistently Starlight's starting to make that push to being a household brand.
They're great. I'm really a big fan.
Good to hear, man.
But Perry, man, I'm proud of you. The hardest thing about a podcast is getting it out there, when you have the schedule.
Yeah.
It's a hard game, man. I do not encourage anyone to do it. And also, your microphones are heavy as fuck.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I just got
a massage later.
I just got a little bit of a deltoid workout here, which apparently I need. I use this arm, but for other things. So
drinking whiskey.
Yeah, that's right.
For drinking whiskey, exactly.
It's good seeing you, man.
Good seeing you too, brother.
Did you see Pearl Jam last night?
No, I had I was working yesterday, so I was in Lexington.
Dude, that's the best Pearl Jam thing I've ever seen.
So
they're amazing.
My dad and sister were in Nashville Friday night to see them. So they drove up from Nashville to Louisville to do another show, but they said Friday night was incredible as well.
It was epic.
Did you wind up with a head count for how many people were here last night to see them?
It's out there somewhere. I don't have it.
I've heard 40. I've heard 100,000, but I don't know.
All I know is it's a record.
It was amazing to see that picture.
Let me pull up the photo, and I'll show you where I was. I'll show you. Let me see if I can find that. It was sent to me this morning. Yeah, that's me right there.
Yes, I was able to pick you out of that crowd.
That's me. Basically, I just showed Perry the crowd lineup, and it looks like it's incredible. There's not a gap in there. Wherever there's gap is like a porta potty.
It looks like a light bright.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right, man.
All right, brother.
Good times. All right, cheers.
It wouldn't be a Tim Bip episode, though, without us actually sitting down and recording an episode, somehow shoehorning a review.
We got to tell the people what we think.
So this week, and it seemed somewhat appropriate to review this because over the weekend and Thursday of Bourbon Beyond, I was hanging out in the media tent, and there's a small structure that is on site, and it's Jack Daniel's branded. And if you just kind of glance at it, it looks like one of those, you go to like a festival or like a live show, and they have these almost like porta potties, but they're nicer. Like it's not just like a one holer. Like you go in and like they've got like an actual. Don't like the way you're saying that, but you go. That popped me too good. But you go in and like there's multiple urinals or toilets or whatever, and so this building looked like that's what it was supposed to be. Lo and behold, that was where Fred was conducting his interviews and recording some podcast stuff for his own show, the Fred Minnick Show. If you listen,
blindfolding people in there.
Not that I saw. It wasn't an eyes wide shut kind of deal, but despite the fact that sounds like what you wanted it to be.
No, he did that. He put blindfolds on people.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, but so I walked in, and again, I didn't talk about this earlier, but this was the first time that Fred and I got to see each other since before the pandemic started. And you can go back and listen to that episode. It's actually one of the most downloaded episodes of all time of this My Bourbon Podcast. So it's great. I actually had Chad from It's Bourbon Night on that same episode. I did like 2 kind of special guest spots within it, and Chad and I reviewed, which was at that point the new Jim Beam single barrel, the 108 proof, which we didn't even know was out until I just kind of ran across it. But at that point, Fred was starting up the Fred Minnick show, and it was new and fresh and really fun and cool. And then the pandemic hit, and we got real sad. But anyway, so I walked into his interview trailer, and it's like, I'm so sorry I came in here. I was like, dude, don't worry about it. It happens to me all the time. This wouldn't be the first time that one of my offices got mistaken for a toilet. I was like, okay. I was about to leave, and he goes, do you want something? I was like, do you want something to drink? Like, well, yeah. I mean, like, how often does Fred Minnick offer you a pour?
You're like, no, gotta go. See you later.
I'm sorry, man. But he was like, what are you in the mood for? And I go, well, like higher proof but manageable. Because it was later in the afternoon, and, you know, we're kind of like easing into the music of the night and everything. And he goes, well, why don't I pour you this? And he fresh cracked for me a Pursuit United Rye. And he was like, what do you think about this? And I was like, well, it's currently my number one rye for the year. So, I mean, he gave me a solid like 2.5 ounces too. It just felt very, again, and like I come back to this with the Pursuit United products, that we got sent these sample bottles and we got sent these products to review, and it just is like this constant circle of like completion, I guess. Or like I feel like, again, I kind of made it, and, you know, to even be like to Fred Minnick, oh, I already love that bottle. Like, you know what I mean? Like to just kind of be on that same playing field in some regards.
Right. Not to be like, oh, this, let me try it and all that. But you're like, I've already had this and I love it. And
exactly. Yeah. So it just, if anything has kind of come out of this year, I mean, aside from the fact that it feels like things are kind of starting to gear back up into what normal life, quote unquote, was like before COVID. I don't know. I keep getting this feeling of like we made it and things are kind of trending in the right direction. And I don't even know if I said this on the main podcast, but after the and Kenny, I'm sorry that I'm outing you for sending me this private message, but after that episode came out that we reviewed the Pursuit United products on, Kenny sent me a private message and said, yes, you did. You have made it at this point. And it was just very poetic, and it just felt very satisfying to kind of hear that. And we spend a lot of time kind of not spinning our wheels, but at least feeling like we're just kind of going along with the flow of the show and whatnot. And so to get that feedback and to kind of continue to get what I am still calling the most positive feedback consistently that we have ever gotten about the podcast over the past few months, it's pretty incredible. So I just want to say thank you to everybody. Just everybody.
Cheers to everybody.
Cheers to you all indeed. So we are reviewing the Smoke Wagon Bottled in Bond Rye.
Yes.
Which Eric is holding up for the camera right now. Where this is my favorite rye of the year, I do kind of want to pour a little bit to compare it to the Smoke Wagon. I mean, just out of curiosity. I also do run the risk of like trying the Pursuit Rye next to a different product, and then all of a sudden it gets dethroned. Like, how am I going to love?
They're very different. Like the mash bill on the Smoke Wagon is 51 rye, 49 corn.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So a super, super low rye. I mean, barely what Chad and Sarah kind of deemed a barely legal rye here.
Yeah, so before we start, my question to you that I did not, somebody asked me about it, and I was like, I don't know. And is it wrong for me to use you as like my like crutch when it comes to like, I'm at the point where I'm having so much fun like podcasting that I don't really want to like get really smart because I want you to just answer the questions. Is that wrong? Is that wrong? Do I need to do better? Do I need to be better and like learn more so I can like answer questions on my own? Or like, is it okay that I'm just like
part of it feels wrong because I want you to be like, I want you to be able to answer like at least similar questions, maybe not the exact same ones. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, all right, I'll field this. I'll field this one.
I mean, I'm not a complete idiot with it. I know the science behind bourbon and all that stuff. All. But like some stuff, I'm just like, I'd rather Perry just talk about it. He could talk better than me.
Which you have done multiple times since you've joined this podcast last year. But so you have a question about Bottled and Bond?
But this is Smoke Wagon. So like, this was from MGP sent to Nevada. Like, isn't it supposed to like stay in one place the whole time? Like, that's what I was confused about. Like, if it was in Indiana for 4 years and then they took it, is it still okay? But it says aged. It says aged and bottled by Nevada HC Distilling Company. So he had the barrels in Nevada. So I'm just confused on like the whole bottled and bond, like, you know, when it's supposed to be in like one warehouse for the whole seasons and all that stuff.
Is the place that it was distilled in indicated on the bottle?
Distilled in Indiana.
But does it specifically list the distillery number?
DSP IN 15023.
Okay. So that's good.
Okay.
Technically.
It's got the other company's DSP number on it too.
That is okay. And the reason behind it, and there of course are all these loopholes that you kind of have to, or not loopholes, but all of these hoops that you have to jump through in order to actually be called Bottled and Bond. There are some of those that are pretty straightforward and I think are easily understood by just about everyone. But, 4 years old, 100 proof.
Mm-hmm.
Made by one master distiller at one distillery during one distilling season. There's 2 distilling seasons throughout the year, basically split up by the 6 months that you get on the first and second half of the year. I don't think I'm making this up. I'm pretty sure that this is correct information. As long as you have the original distillation location listed on the bottle, and if it is aged somewhere else and bottled somewhere else in direct opposition to the actual distillation location, it is still legally okay.
Okay.
But
yeah,
it's all about
there.
Transparency.
Yeah. It's got the DSP numbers and everything on there.
Then I think it's probably okay. I understand the like.
I was just like, I don't understand that.
No,
so
I get it because it, we're very accustomed to distilleries putting out a new Bottled and Bond product, and it's their distillate that was aged on site and bottled. Maybe not on site, but at the very least, like, nearby or whatever. Yeah. But even though it is actually aged in bottled in Nevada, I am like 99% sure that it still meets all the qualifications that it needs to for being a bottled and bond whiskey.
I know, and it's not me questioning them like, oh, I can't believe they put bottled and bond, because obviously they know what they're doing and they probably checked everything. I was just for personal like knowledge, I was like, I gotta do this, and instead of looking it up on the internet, I just waited to ask you.
I appreciate the confidence that you have in me.
I do. I have so much confidence in you. Within the bourbon world and with everything else, I have all the confidence in you.
That's why I love you, man.
Love you too, buddy.
Let's get into the nose on this one, shall we?
I like that.
Smells kind of briny.
Like a turkey brine?
No, like pickle brine.
Oh, I was going to say it's kind of savory, but I guess pickly would be... Maybe it's kind of dill. Like, not pickle dill to me, like the dill, like actual dill.
Like actual fresh dill. Yeah. I can see that.
And orange. And that's making me, now that you said brine, like I'm thinking of when you brine a turkey, I put like dill and like orange peels and like all this stuff. It's dill and orange.
Freshly baked bread, too.
It's there's some kind of wheat grain on there, definitely.
Maybe like a rye bread?
Maybe, yeah. It's so soft. I get a lot of rye spice in the finish. The front is just kind of soft. It's very like approachable, I guess you'd say, for a rye.
This is really kind of batting outside of its league, I guess, or punching above its weight class or outside of its weight class, I would say. I definitely need a little bit of time with this. I don't know how I feel about it. Because I don't dislike it by any means, but I also have like a couple of things where I'm going, couldn't this be even slightly better than what's there? I don't know. I'm trying not to be too judgmental right off the bat. I'm actually going to pour a little bit more just so I have enough in my glass to kind of judge throughout this.
I like the nose better than the palate. On the second or third sip, like I start to get more of orange on the front. It took me a second because I felt like I was getting all like the rye bread and some more citrus on the finish.
It is so weird that like I keep coming back to this almost like sea salty note on the nose. And even like going in for a smell on that one, it reminded me of being at the beach.
It
and like
is
getting the breeze blowing in from the ocean.
Yeah.
And smelling the salt coming off of the water. Which I just wasn't I don't know. I wasn't expecting that from this whiskey. Yeah.
I think it's got a lot of citrus, like orange in it.
It really does too. I mean, it almost drinks or identifies more as like a cocktail than it does a neat whiskey.
There is if there's any little dark note in that, it's almost like a cinnamon, like a light cinnamon sprinkle on there, maybe.
Right on the back of the palate.
Yeah.
It's not super spicy up front. Once it gets into like the middle of the palate, I really am starting to pick up this almost like Derby pie thing going on.
Yeah, I can see that.
It's chocolatey and kind of marshmallowy as well, but there's also this backbone of like a crust to it, like a graham cracker crust.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I'm being critical of this, but I'm trying not to, because I really do like this. I think I just confused by it more than anything because I wasn't expecting it to be the way that it is going into trying it.
Well, I think I was expecting just another 95.5.
Just another, yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of was. Like, I know Smoke Wagon's MGP and all that stuff. I did not expect it when I found out the mash bill on it. I was like, that's what made me even more curious. I was like, this is interesting.
That's what okay, sorry. I've been like sitting trying to figure out what this particular note is on the nose, and it took me just until right now to get it, but it's like freshly cut hay, like grassy kind of hay that, you know, is going to be rolled up on a farm.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's definitely fresh. Like this,
it's very.
You were
fresh.
saying the beach and all. This makes me want to just be outside. Like whether it's with a cocktail or just like a nice breeze or something, like it does. It's a nice outside sitting down drink.
But it's not like the term that we've been using a lot recently, crushable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I still feel like I need time with it. I need
there's
to be
definitely
able to think about it.
Yeah, there's definitely more to it than just a crushable thing. Like you know, well, I think when we say crushable, we get like that on the nose and the palate. We get those distinct notes right off the bat, and we know that's what we're getting, and we're like, all right, we're just going to take this back. This is like, you know, second, third sip. It's like, okay, I'm getting this, or what is this? And like you said, it took you a little bit to figure out what you're trying to get. Like this definitely takes you for a little ride, for sure.
I like it a lot. I don't know if I like it enough, though, to dethrone the Pursuit United from this year.
Especially as a rye. Like,
are you like okay to do a little comparison between the two?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay.
I mean, that Pursuit United rye is just like, there's so much boldness right up in your nose.
They don't even compare. They don't feel like they're on the same playing field.
But I don't know. Do we know the mash bills that are in the Kentucky and the, what is it, Maryland?
I don't know what actually goes into the Pursuit rye, but I mean,
they're definitely two different animals. Like,
I almost feel like saying, does it matter what the mash bills are in this case? You know what I mean? Just because
it's true. Yeah, they're both ryes and they're both yeah.
I think that Pursuit United just explodes in a way that most other ryes don't.
Everything in that Pursuit United just hits harder. It's when you're like, I'm going to grab a good rye, like you're expecting that. Me personally, if I'm wanting a rye, I know what I'm getting into and I know what I want. I want that rye spice. I want that punch.
I want this rye. The Pursuit United rye is the rye that I want. Like, I want to drink it neat. I want to put it in cocktails. I want to see how it holds up with a little bit of water. I want to share it with people. I want to take it to tailgating with, you know, people who are drinking Bud Light. And there's so much that can be done with this. And I just feel so comfortable with it, too. Yeah. Right? And I don't have to be as, like, egregious with my thought process or with my tasting process on it, just because it kind of reads as like this whole package, whereas the Smoke Wagon, I don't feel as like confident in my experience with it. Like I'm just kind of having to parse out different notes and different experiences that come with it, which is not necessarily a bad thing by any means.
Yeah.
But I feel like I'm stretching myself more with the Smoke Wagon than I am with the Pursuit United.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, looking at it a different way, like I think the Smoke Wagon is something you would give to somebody who doesn't necessarily enjoy rye because it's so soft of a rye. You know what I mean? Like,
I get that.
Just kind of looking at it on that end. Yeah, the Pursuit United just punches way harder on everything. Like, that's what I want in a rye. I think this Smoke Wagon has its spot. Like, it's softer. There's just something about it. Like, when you compare the two, they are just like this. It's like a soft rye. And I know it's only, 51% rye and it's 49% corn. But still, it's a rye. And the other one is just like hitting you in the face, hitting your palate with like all this flavor. It's just hitting it hard.
Yeah.
And the Smoke Wagon is like kind of this delicate thing that you're just like, you're playing around with a little bit and you're like, okay, I'm getting that and I'm getting that. And that's fun for us when we're sitting here talking about it. But I don't know if it's something that like, the rye guy who's coming in, he's like, I want a rye, and he's going to grab that. Like, he's not going to necessarily probably want the Smoke Wagon. But if you're not used to rye, and it's kind of like, you're like, oh, rye is too spicy for me, like the Smoke Wagon might be a little better. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just this little softer thing that makes you think about it a little bit more. And
definitely makes you think.
The Pursuit United, though, man. It's almost unfair, but I think every rye that we try from now until the end of the year is going to get compared to it.
Dude, even into next year, I feel like I'm going to be coming back to this and going, well, is it Pursuit United level?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we almost gave it a perfect score.
Yeah.
It does feel unfair to compare the two, but I like... For my own benefit, I feel like I needed to know where the Smoke Wagon kind of fell on that spectrum. Like even talking about the Fibonacci rye from Stellum, I don't think that this comes anywhere close to either of these.
Did I have that? I think I had a little bit of it.
We got it the day that we reviewed the Pursuit United.
Yeah, I remember.
I want to try to remove as much bias as I can, though, comparing the two, and I want to review the Smoke Wagon of its own, or on its own quality, or merit. I don't know. I'm tired. It's almost 1:00 in the morning.
Shit. We got a half a day left.
Aren't we lucky? Anyway, we normally review products on the show with the parameters of nose, palate, finish, and price. Each category is out of 5, and the final score is out of 20. You can, of course, multiply by 5 if you want to know what that would actually be out of 100. But we stick with the 20-point scale.
Yeah,
we've been doing it since like the second episode, something like that. So I'm not going to change now. Who are you? Come in here and tell me to change now.
I didn't tell you to change anything.
I'm not talking to you.
Oh, I think because I came in here.
No, it's rhetorical. It's the rhetorical you.
Me?
No, not. What are you giving the nose on this?
3.5. I love the nose. I really like the nose.
Yeah.
I like it a lot. Not a lot, but I like it better than the palate.
I think I'm going to give it a 3. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3 on the nose. Actually, you know what? No, I'm gonna give it a 3.5 as well, because I have spent quite a bit of time with it. It's not been offensive by any means, but I'm still kind of missing a little bit of like the darker, and even still some of the like more candiedness.
Oh, there's
like sugary vanilla kind of thing.
There's not hardly anything dark in this as far as that goes. Like, it's all light citrus stuff. Like, I reached for some cinnamon. That was about the darkest I got.
Yeah. I'm happy with the 3.5. I don't mind that at all. Palate, I think, is a little bit of a drop-off. Not significantly, but enough to where I'm kind of wanting to go back to the nose. More so than I am the palate. I gave it a 3.
I did the same. So I thought like I said, the palate's not bad. I feel like it took a couple of sips to start trying to think. It's just so soft, and if you like a softer feel and a softer rye, then this is going to be right up there for you. Like, it's just soft. It's just there's something soft about it. I don't know.
I feel the same way about the finish that I do the palate as well. I mean, they're very consistent. You're not really exploring any new ground. You're still kind of diving into this like graham cracker crusty derby pie thing that I was getting with the palate. The hug's not super present. I know it's 100 proof, so you're not expecting to get a lot of that, but I like it again about as much as I do the palate. I'm going to give it a 3.
I gave it a 3.5. Okay. I thought it picked up a little bit more in the finish. I got some more spice, a little bit more. Like you said, the hug is not much there, but I did get a little bit more. That's where I found that cinnamon, I think, is right on the finish.
Yeah. Now, what is the price on this one? I don't know anything about the price on this bottle.
I paid $70 for this.
Oh.
I don't know what MSRP. I think
that's too much, man. I feel like that's too much based on what is actually in this bottle. Because I know that you're kind of trying to help out with the innovation of things, and you're trying to support smaller distilleries or producers and whatnot, but I mean, it is still a 4-year-old whiskey. 2.5.
I gave it a 2. I mean, I thought it should have been about $45 to $50.
No, I don't disagree, but I like trying to look at it from an investment standpoint. Even I don't mind paying a little bit extra, because I mean, like, I am kind of starting to, and long-term listeners of the show know that Smoke Wagon has not exactly been my favorite brand, but a lot of that has just kind of been because I don't understand the hype behind a lot of it. But I am kind of starting to buy into them a little bit, and in this case, I'm curious what they're going to do with this particular product in the future. So if I kind of view it as an investment opportunity, I don't mind that as much.
Yeah, no, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, most of their stuff is a little bit more pricier than other stuff. I just felt like this one, with how soft it was, 100 proof and all that. I guess I didn't really think about all the other stuff. I just thought this tastes about like a $50 bottle of rye to me. So probably about $25 less, and I would be happy with it. So I think I got a 12 total.
I have a 12 total as well.
Well, there we go.
So, I mean, pick it up. It's a good rye whiskey to have in your collection, for sure.
I think it's just a bit different to where somebody who likes rye is going to have something to say about it, and then somebody who maybe not like rye, they will probably enjoy it too.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I don't really have any high proof hot takes this week.
I don't either. I've got a ton of stuff that I'll just unleash, but
maybe just pay attention to other drivers out there, because it is your fault if you are 3 lanes over and you all of a sudden realize that you need to be turning left even though you're turning in the right lane. I guess I do have one.
Let it out.
I think this has been my biggest pet peeve recently is like, how do you not notice that you are on the complete opposite side of the road that you need to be on to go where you are supposed to go? And it's not even like I don't, maybe it's a bias against like people who can't discern right from left. But it's happened so much. It almost feels like ignorance at this point. You know what I mean?
I think people just don't pay attention anymore.
I don't think they do either. I think COVID ruined so many people's brains.
I think it did. I think people just get in their car and they just go.
Yeah.
And they just don't even like look at their mirrors. They don't do anything.
I use, I think, Google Maps more now than I ever did before the pandemic. And it's a combination of like, you know, making sure that I'm going the right way and also trying to avoid, like, if there's a wreck or something, you know, there's a big backup, like just trying to get around the most efficient way. But I just don't get it. Like, surely you realize that you are doing something even slightly wrong by being in a lane, you know, 30 yards away from where you're supposed to be. Surely you have some kind of self-awareness.
I don't think they do.
I don't think they do either. But anyway, that's my high-proof hot take. Let's
there you go.
Let's move on to tips and bits,
tips
shall we?
And bits.
This is our segment where we recommend things that you should watch, read, listen to, can just consume in general. It's not normally bourbon related, but on occasion it is. This week, Eric, what kind of pop culture-y thing do you have to recommend to folks?
I'm getting into the, what do we say, spooky season, and I went and watched a new horror
finger
movie.
Guns. I'm doing finger guns over here.
He's blasting shit everywhere.
He's just blasting. Just finger blasting.
Master blaster. But I watched Barbarian. Which
how'd you like it?
Dope. So good. Okay. So good.
That's the Skarsgård movie, right?
Do what?
The Alexander Skarsgård?
Is that it? I don't know.
The guy who played Pennywise.
Bill Skarsgård.
Bill. Thank you. Yeah. That's Pennywise.
Yeah, okay. I didn't know his name. Yes, he is in this movie. Partially. That's all I'll say.
I don't want you to say anything else about this movie because I want to
so
go in
good.
Completely blind, or as blind as I can be at this point.
All I'm going to say about this is I feel like you've got to watch it in a theater because they use the sound and the lighting as like part of like it's almost like its own character. Like the sound in this, like you just like it amplifies like the suspense and the scares and everything. Like just having even, and if you don't watch it in a theater, just if you have a really good sound system or something, surround sound, then that's the way to go. Like there's just something about the sound in this movie that was amazing. I loved it so much. So good. So
right,
good.
I don't want to know anything else about it right now. Did I talk about the new Lord of the Rings show last week?
I think so.
I think so too. Well, off the back of that, you know, we wanted to binge through the Peter Jackson trilogy of the Lord of the Rings movies, and we just finished it up, and those movies still have life, and they still hold up, and they are still so much fun to watch and so fantastic. Two Towers is one of my favorite movies ever. I think I might have even said that last week, but
I think so. I need to go back and watch them. It's been a while.
Go watch the extended versions. I mean, it's going to take you a few sit downs.
I was going to say, do I have like 4 weeks to like?
It's not going to take you though.
You know my schedule.
I do, but you also have nights where like, and it doesn't matter anyway.
out me here.
Sorry. Chris Havens was listening and was like, I'm going to report you.
Yeah. I know it. No, he used to do my job too, so he knows. He's on the inside.
There you go. We just finished up. I mean, it's been a few weeks at this point, but the newest season of Only Murders in the Building.
Oh, yeah?
Is out. Really good. Not as good as the first season, I would say, but it's still very, very enjoyable. And also, I think I'm hitting just about as many points as I can. But one of my favorite current artists, Tyler Childers, has a new song out in preparation for his new album that's going to be out, I think, September 30th. So right around the corner. But anyway, I think that about gets us to the end of this week's episode. I still have like a whole day's worth of interview recording that I haven't even gotten to yet with Bourbon and Beyond. So we're gonna get there. We're gonna get there together. But in the meantime, I just want to say thank you so much to all the folks at Bourbon and Beyond for allowing us to come and hang out and record some interviews and just be present. I mean, Bourbon and Beyond is basically like the thing I look forward to all year long. And I'm super happy to see it back. But in the meantime, Eric's going to take us home. Eric, you got to let the people know how they can find us, how they can support us, all those good things. Wrap us up like a nice little Christmas present right under the tree. Oh, you put a little kiss on it, too.
I did.
That was nice.
If you
nice
want
touch.
to, I did.
Chef's kiss.
Yes. If you want to support the show for as little as $1 a month, go to patreon.com/MyBourbonPodcast. And at $5 a month, you can get all the bonus stuff. You can get the unedited episode where you just listen to us fart and burp and stuff. That
okay, we don't do that.
I farted a little bit ago.
Did you really?
Yeah. So go to patreon.com if you want to support us. We got bills to pay. You know, Perry's got to pay the internet. He's got to do all the podcast stuff. I just let him handle that, and I just fart.
Please stop saying on the podcast that you fart.
Why? Because everybody farts.
I mean, I know, but I don't want.
If you want to
people
send
to
us
support the show,
if you want to send us an email and talk about farting, send an email to thisismybourbonshop@gmail.com.
You realize this is probably the episode out of the entire year that people are going to listen the most to, right?
It's fine. They'll relate to it more than other podcasts because nobody else is talking about farting on their Bourbon podcast.
I don't condone this, but
yeah. So anyway, if you want to leave us a message on the Barrel Ring segment, you can call 859-428-8253. Leave us a message. We'll play it on air, and then we'll reply back to you. If you want to get some merch, it's bourbonshop.threadless.com. Got some Whiskey Mutant merch. It's whiskeymutant.myshopify.com. Then on all social media, it's at MyBourbonPod, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can follow me at Whiskey Mutant. You can follow Perry at PRitter1792. You can follow our other co-host who's not here at the moment, Swan TBF. He's on Instagram. He deletes his Facebook accidentally every other month, and we don't question it. If you want to go to YouTube, you can watch the show. This is My Bourbon Podcast on YouTube. Perry goes live every Thursday at 8. And like I said, we got the video version going out there. And then just leave us a 5-star review or a 1-star review. We really don't care. We'll read them both. Anything helps. And then,
but also, if you don't want us to read your review out, let us know. But I think that most people are okay with it.
If they put a review out, we're going to read it.
Oh, we're going to say something.
Oh, yeah.
Even if we just passive aggressively make fun of you.
You can also tell your grandmas about us.
Please do.
About that.
Let them know. Yeah. We've actually got an update this week of an old review.
Ooh.
I don't remember exactly when this this review was posted, but it is from our buddy, Brad Woods, who we're going to talk about here in just a second when we talk about Patreon supporters.
Yeah, saw him the other day.
I'm really happy you did.
Yeah.
Because, anyway.
Dab him up.
So the original review said, has quickly become my favorite podcast. So I drive anywhere from 8 to 13 hours a day with my job, and I needed to find a podcast or two to make the nights go by quicker. My love for bourbon brought me here, and after only 2 episodes, I went back to the very beginning and listened to every episode in order. God bless you. Being unable to enjoy bourbon throughout the week with my job, this always allows me to enjoy it in an entirely different way. Plus, the tips and bits and news segment have given me a plethora of ideas of things to watch on meal breaks, listen to between episodes, or look for when at stores. This might give you a little bit of an idea of how long this review has been in the system and the update that happened last Sunday. The natural rapport between Perry Swan and Curtis makes for an enjoyable and entertaining listen, and it's like I'm sitting there with friends, enjoying a drink and fellowship right along with them. Thanks for helping the thousands of miles pass by seamlessly. You guys are heroes, aiding in the safe and speedy transport of millions of packages for a big brown truck and trailer on the highway each and every week. Cheers, guys. And the update is this podcast is still adding so much information and entertainment to my nightly runs down the interstate. Thanks so much for what you guys do. Brad, thank you so much for listening. And thank you for the update, too. If you have an update that you want to give us on a review, maybe you've been hate listening for a little while. And you want to,
I'm all about some hate listening.
Let us know about that. Head to your podcast app of choice if they allow reviewing and rating. And if we don't talk about it here on the show, send us a screenshot at my Bourbon Pod. Or this is my bourbon shop at gmail.com. We'll be happy to read it out on the show. We do have 2 new / returning / upgraded patrons this week. Our first one, a brand new patron, Mr. Matthew Bergmayer.
Yeah,
at the $10 tier.
Matthew the Bergman, like he was on fire the other day. He was grinding at Whole Foods. I mean, grinding.
Wow. Like taking the cart and like going up on the produce.
Grinding his meat. They actually let him go behind the counter. They were like, "Oh man, he's here."
That's special. That is special.
Yeah, they let him come back behind the counter and grind his own hamburger meat that he was making hamburgers for. And I said, "Yo, what are you going to drink with that meat?" And he goes, "Bourbon." And I was like, "Dude, you should listen to This Is My Bourbon Podcast." He goes, "I already do." I go, "Are you part of the Patreon?" He goes, "No, but I am now." And he signed up right then as he was grinding.
Wait, so like he was
one
grinding
hand in his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking.
And he was like, Yeah, so that dude's amazing. And I was just trying to get lunch. I went in there and I was being all bougie because I was going to get lunch at Whole Foods. So I was going to get the little salad bar.
Yeah.
And
I've been there before.
I was late for work because I was watching him grind meat. So I'm glad that he really did. And he wasn't just doing a dance while he was grinding and just acting like he was joining the Patreon. He actually did, and I appreciate that. And I bet those hamburgers were nice and fresh.
Oh, fresh. Yeah, that too.
Because he was actually grinding it right then, so they'd been really fresh.
We also have an updated pledge from Brad Woods, who we just read his review out for. He is actually doing an annual Patreon pledge. So if you would like to do that, if you want to check that opportunity out, I have not talked about this a whole lot with the podcast, but you get, I believe, 10% off if you sign up for a yearly pledge as opposed to doing it every month. It does help us out more if you do monthly as opposed to annual. But that being said, we appreciate all the support and help that we can get. But whose meat was Brad grinding when you saw him the other day?
We were grinding together. We were both watching the meat being grinded. And it was like, and he was like, yeah, I got to get back on the road. And I was like, come over here to the, I'm going to make you a salad bar snack to go. And he was all about it. And we were like, in Ghost when like they're making the pottery and like, the arms come around. Mm-hmm. He was making this like huge like to go salad that would last about 13 hours. And yeah, that's impressive. And he started to move to like different like sections of the salad bar, but I came behind him and my hands were kind of like guiding him, and we crafted the best road trip salad that had to have lasted 13 hours.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, and
I really am.
And then we cheated.
Thank you for your service.
We cheated on the scale to save him a little money. I kind of held it up a little bit when we put it on the self-checkout.
So you're a liar.
No, we're frugal. My hands came behind him again. I kind of tilted it a little bit, saved a little bit on that, and then he was off, and I also was still late for work, and I didn't get lunch myself. But that's okay because now Patreon, has benefited. So that's it. Whole Foods, man, grinding all up and down Whole Foods.
That is the best story that has
Whole Foods.
That does it for this week's episode of This Is My Bourbon Podcast. Thank you all so much for listening. You can find all the links for ways to support the show as well in the description of the audio and video versions of this show. Next week, I believe, I'm going to be there at least for a couple days, but I believe Eric and I are going to both be on site for Louder Than Life.
Yeah. Yes.
So we got more special interviews coming your way. More good times. We'll see you guys real soon. Thank you so much for listening or watching and supporting the show. It means the absolute world to us. Y'all are the best. We'll see you real soon. Until then, I'm Perry.
I'm Eric.
And this
podcast.
And this is my Bourbon Podcast.